Welcome back yet to another episode of GGs Talk. Today, let's welcome Neerja Malik, a conqueror who transformed dual cancer diagnosis into a 26-year mission of global healing and an author of I Inspire. Guided by her father's wisdom to face rather than fight adversity, she remains a 24 by 7 beacon of spiritual succor for thousands of patients and caregivers worldwide. So, welcome Neerja to Gigi's Talk.
Thank you so much, Geetha. I love our chatting with you, and I'm glad that it is purposefully being done today.
Thank you, Neerja. So, coming to the first question, Neerja, your father taught you to face rather than fight adversities. How did this shift in the mindset help you reclaim your voice and go from a survivor to a conqueror?
Well, Geetha, this is a wonderful way of putting it because when you are diagnosed, you are shattered, you are traumatized, and you have the worst feelings possible. And I went with this and said to my father, I'm going to fight it. And I was shocked because this captain of a ship, this warrior, this soldier, and someone who's won a mention in dispatches in the 1971 war, he turned to me and he said, why do you want to fight it? And I was shattered. I felt as if the carpet had been pulled from under my feet. Because now, how do I deal with it? How do I cope with it? And he said, don't fight it, face it. And this is the guidance, Geeta. It turned everything upside down because this is what I start my counseling with. Don't fight it, face it. Because when you're fighting it, you want to destroy the other person. You want to just make sure that you've killed it. And you are in war soon. And suddenly, when the word face instead of fight comes to you, you realize, yes, this is positive. And this is hum honge kamya. This
Absolutely.
is we shall overcome. We shall conquer. And that is how I start my counseling with each and every person, each and every person.
It's actually a 360-degree change in mindset, Nirja, when you say that. So, Nirja, you had been a conqueror not once, twice, and you work with cancer patients and their caregivers. Leaving them aside, I would like to understand a little more about your journey with cancer. So, what were the things that you encountered and you faced during your journey?
Geeta, this is a wonderful question because I'm sure a lot of people go through this. So when I was diagnosed and as a patient, and my mother said, "Come to Bombay for your treatment." My friends came to visit me. Now the strange thing was that they came and they didn't know how to act or how to deal with their beloved friend who was going through this tragedy. So a lot of the friends here came and wept in front of me. The friends in Bombay came to me, but they didn't know how to act. So they would look at their toes, they would twiddle their hands, and the atmosphere was one of extreme discomfort. So
More
finally, as a patient, you feel that, oh my God. So I had that extra pressure as a patient
Mhm.
to be able to convey to these people who care for me that, hello, I'm not dead. I'm alive. But what you are doing around me may fasten my death. Do you understand? I went out of my way to make them feel comfortable.
Comfortable.
So, what should a caregiver do? What did my caregivers do? The minute I would get a phone call, earlier I said, anyone who calls me wants to convey their love and concern. But you know the word filter, it needs to be done.
Absolutely.
Because out of those people, there are many who will be positive. And there are others who will say, this happened to my uncle and he died in 24 hours later. My caregivers started filtering calls that were coming to me. I was welcoming all guests. And then I realized that some of them are pulling me down. So that is very important. Your caregivers have to realize one thing. Let us filter all those negative people, all those negative phone calls to keep the patient's
Sanctity
feelings uplifted.
and upliftment
Yes.
in mind.
And uplifted. So, first, if the caregiver is there and there is discomfort in the room, of course, I took it upon myself to make everyone giggling and laughing and telling jokes. And then, what did the people around me think? She's the one who's going through cancer, and we are behaving as if we're going through it.
Mm.
She's laughing and chatting. What's the matter with us?
Mm.
That is where the shift happened because they are the ones who told the other people. Now, why am I carrying on about friends? Because there are times when the family recruits those friends to do caregiving on their part when they might be exhausted or they might have reached the end. And you need your friends, you need people to give the caregivers.
Absolutely.
You see? Because Geetha, I want one thing understood very clearly that vibrations get across to people. And the caregivers are the mountain or the rocks of Gibraltar. My caregivers were rocks of Gibraltar that keep the mud and the muck out and let flow the beauteous, positive things that will uplift the patient
Right.
and not pull the patient down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yes.
now you tell me one thing. Sometimes there is a mother breastfeeding a child. The child is tiny, has a beautiful smile. Mom is there, dad is there, trip them. But when there is a little noke choke, tutu meme, disharmony between the parents, is the child smart enough to understand कि लड़ाई हो रही है? No. The child starts crying. Why? Because of the vibrations, the tension in the air.
Mm.
So please understand that your patient to whom you are giving care, you might think that, oh, the patient is not looking at me, the chemotherapy is going on, I am looking out of the window and crying. I'm so smart, I'm not letting the patient see my feelings. Don't be fooled.
Absolutely.
You have to realize that your patient is much smarter than you think.
Mm.
Better still, Geetha, I always feel, and I was lucky, better still that your family does not have a facade.
Mm.
Because I'm pretending, they think I'm happy. They are pretending, we are happy. Let her think we are happy. And it just makes a mess. That is what I learned from my family. We shared the feelings that I was going through. They shared their tears with me. We shared our, you know, things that were eating us up. So, in that sharing is where the caregiver comes in. You don't have to be all strong. You know what I tell my patients? And they're more so their family members, that when your family member is in the ICU, you're smiling, you're behaving as if it's a coffee party and the patient has got all those tubes and you're, come on, have a heart. So you're very with it in front of the patient. And the minute you go out, there's one wall that separates the bed of the patient and the corridor that you're standing in, and you're beating your chest and you're crying. You think the patient will not feel the vibrations through that wall? So I tell the caregivers, you are wonderful people. You are the support, the rocks of Gibraltar. But, and you're wonderful that in front of the patient, you're so positive. But you know what is more than the power of positivity? Is the power of prayer. So when you're outside and you as a caregiver are feeling shattered, instead of beating your chest and behaving as if the patient is go and gone, sit down, pray, send those positive, prayerful vibrations to the patient to uplift the patient, not to pull the patient down. That I think is very important.
Very important, Neerja. And absolutely true when you said that whoever comes to visit a patient, both the patient and the caregiver have the responsibility of filtering them. People who do not uplift should not be entertained, but people who uplift and carry the positive vibration lifts the patient up from their journey. And more so in India, we do not have this principle of filtering people, and more often than not, it is the people around us, the main caregivers, who respond in a very negative manner. The negativity that you
Yes.
carry affects the patient is not a negotiable thing, but people do not realize it. And still we feel that when a patient is diagnosed with cancer, a disease like cancer, when the doctor tells
Mm.
that, the face of everybody is ash turned, right? And the way they respond to that is like the patient is already gone, the journey has just
Yes, yes,
begun, and the journey can
yes.
end anywhere. You cannot predict it. But why lose all the hope at one instance? Rather than facing it and seeing what is possible, we tend to keep a backstep and say that already the match or the case is gone from our hand. So when you faced it with so much of positivity and your family stood by you and the caregivers too, so when you now care for patients and caregivers in your foundation and you work with them, it is the biggest challenge that you ever face, Nirja, when you face patients and caregivers.
Man. Yes, the biggest challenge I faced was with a patient uh, who was came from another city, and the cancer was spreading from place to place in the body. It started with uterus, and then it kind of. But her husband, the caregiver, she had a husband and two sons in Bangalore,
Mhm.
and the husband was in complete denial. So when the doctors would say that, listen, let her be, let us give palliative care, let us make her life comfortable and easy. There is nothing else that we can do. That patient was in total denial. So I was sitting with this patient rather, and the husband walked in. Now that particular day, her breathing apparatus had just been removed for a little while because she wanted to talk to me. He came in and he said, "She's breathing on her own? Oh my God, fantastic." Now, what is the basis? That her cancer is spread. She is in agony and pain. She wants to go. And this husband of hers, the caregiver, the only caregiver actually, is just hanging on to hope, a very thin string of hope, even though the doctors have said, don't put her through this. Don't give her another chemotherapy. And he was signing papers after papers saying, it is my responsibility, give her the chemotherapy. It is my responsibility. Finally, the doctors came to me and they said, please do something. So he came to my table. It was tough because when I was sitting with her and he came and he said, oh my God, she's breathing without the machine. And he went away and she looked at me helpless. And she said, I want to go. He's not letting me go. So I said, I'm going to say the Gayatri Mantra 108 times to you. And you will, or you ask, or you have a conversation with God as to whatever you want. Now, when I pray, Geetha, I never pray for my life to be extended or the patient's life to be extended. My prayer is only that God, may you do what is meant for that person or me even. And I know that you have the best of all of us in mind. Many puchti ke, let that patient survive, let, you know, remove. No. I say, Sadbuddhi De Bhagwan. Give them the way to cope with it for as long as you think they need to. The rest is up to you. So he went away and she told me, crying, I just want to go. And that very day, the doctors got hold of me. They said, please do something. This man keeps signing papers, do this, do that, and it's not doing her any good.
Mhm.
So he came to my table. I called him. And he sat down, looking very hopeful, full of, just kal she'll get out of the bed and we'll go home. And Geetha, this is what I had to say to her. I said, do you want your sons to hate you? Why? I said, because if anything happens to her and you don't let them meet her, they're going to hate you because you never let them spend time with their mother. I had to explain it to him in a roundabout, direct, all kinds of things. And he broke down and he wept. And that was the first time that he faced it. I mean, I can imagine the trauma that he went through, obviously, because you deny, you shut it out, you wear the horse's blinders to save yourself. But when the dams burst and there's nothing for you to do but face the truth, nothing but the bare truth, then what do? You break down. Then this guy, that very weekend, and I told him, I said, if you want me to speak to your sons, I'm willing to do that. But it would be better as a father if you could break the news to them. I must say, he gathered his strength. He would have had to fight because it makes him realize that, oh my God, there really may not be
Worth
much
all the
hope.
fight.
So that weekend, his sons came from Bangalore. The next weekend, his sons came. And it was lovely having the sons just pour their heart out. One was working, one was in a final year of college. They made her feel so happy because she would have wanted her children, but he said, no. Every time they said, how is she? She's fine. She's doing well. Today she was breathing without her machine. You understand. But finally, when the patient passed on to a better space, at least the father and the sons were one. And he thanked me. After all this got over, he thanked me. And he said that I'm so glad it happened because it was a burden for me to keep things from my children. And I said I had nothing to do with it. This is the right way. This is God's guidance. And I'm so glad that everything worked out as it should. I think this was and this was in the early days of my counseling when she passed away. I felt that one of my own had gone. I've come a long way since then, Geetha, because all my patients and their family members become part and parcel of my life. You know, because there is a certain, I don't know what their backgrounds are, I don't know what work they do, but I see them soul to soul and they become part of me. So one learns, one lives, one grows, one evolves, and one decides how best to cocoon yourself, how best to protect and to shield yourself, and give them the chance, the caregivers, the chance to protect and shield themselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.
Right. In India, when the diagnosis of cancer comes in, even in my experience, because I have seen it with my mother, I have seen it with my in-law, in my family also, I have faced it. So either there are two things: either they fight it or flight. They want to hide it. They want to say that everything is perfect, okay, nothing matters, I'll get it right. But they do not face it. Flight and fright, both were very primitive of us. But to face it is evolution. But most people still do not face it, be it their emotions or be it the exclamatory of that condition that you might be in. Most of us don't face it. So, how do you encounter this, Neerja, when you find it in your patients and caregivers?
So, what I do is that I give them my example. I give them my talk with my father. Face it, don't fight it. And a lot of examples come up in life where things are actually happening right from the time of diagnosis, where someone wants to protect the patient. Geetha, I want you to know that we are still in India. If the family says, I don't want the patient to know, that is still the case. But abroad, it is a law that the patient has a right to know that they are going through this, what stage it is. The doctors will talk, and a lot is working around their diagnosis. Here, we still given to that feeling that, acha, let us not let the
Tell the
person know. Now, it happened in the case of my mother and father. My father had bone cancer. And so my brother-in-law and my sister and my mother took him in the wheelchair to meet certain doctors. Now, my mother obviously was clued up with what I had gone through. So they went to another hospital. I was my surgeries were in breech candy, and my chemotherapy and radiation was at just low. But my doctors were uh, then either placed the first time, placed in Tata Memorial, and they used to have their evening clinics at these different places. And sorry, what was I talking?
You were telling
It
me
was an
about,
important thought which I've forgotten. क्या बता रही थी मैं आपको?
आप बता रहे थे कि कैसे केयर गिवर में
हाँ
वो फियर एंड फ्लाइट के बीच में का जो कॉन्वर्जेशन होता है, आपके पेरेंट्स के टाइम पे भी
हाँ
आपने
हाँ.
किया, आपके पापा मम्मी के टाइम पर
Thank
आपने वो हाइड करने देखा।
thank you. So we tried to, you know, keep it from my mother. And I was, of course, in Chennai, but she's a smart too. So when they came out of this other hospital, Saifi, she asked the secretary, "Excuse me, what is the qualification of this doctor?" Now the secretary doesn't know. Okay, shh. So she said, "Oh, he's an oncologist." Now my mother, primary caregiver, is hiding it from my sister and brother-in-law that she understood. My father is probably pretending that it's not cancer.
So
You
everybody is
understand?
in their game.
And mind you that it's a family that has gone through a lot of cancer. It's a family that is supported,
Hmm.
but still, just to make the other person feel better,
Hmm.
you go out of your way to, hai, itna pyar hai, itna support hai. Let us not let them worry. Little
Hmm.
realizing कि हमारे माँ बाप हैं यार. You think they haven't? If we are so smart, they're so much smarter, yeah. If we want to make them feel easy, कि इनको नहीं बताएं, they want to make us, their बच्चास feel easier, that अच्छा हमको नहीं पता,
Hmm.
हम खुश हैं. You understand? And then I need to tell you this also, that for a caregiver, it is very difficult when the end of life situation comes. And I remember that I've had talks with doctors to tell the caregiver that you want me to see, according to the Indians, we have this feeling that if the patient is eating well, all will be well. So, if the patient is unwell, prone, bedridden, eat. Eat. And then I told the doctor, I said, please tell the caregiver, not from us, but you say that yes, I can give nourishment via IV. Point one, I can give nourishment via the Ryle's tube. Point two, I can make a hole in the stomach and from outside feed the stomach directly. Point three, but who would I be doing it for? Not for the benefit of the patient, but the benefit of the caregiver. Then the caregiver breaks down and realizes the truth that there is a process when, thanks to God, we get a sixth sense that we are going to pass on. And automatically, the body's,
System starts to shut
working
down.
starts shutting down. And so either we can make it a peaceful situation for the one who's passing on, or make it miserable for them and for us.
Right.
So, caregiving, like you started off with the diagnosis, from the time of diagnosis, then the treatment and the prognosis. It's a whole process. And there is a learning at every step.
Absolutely. Do you agree, Neerja, that more often than not, the diagnosis kills the patient than the disease itself? Because they take it so personally, and that fright mode is so much on that they forget they can face it and they can come out of it. More often, it is their mindset that kills them than the disease.
Absolutely, because I tell my patients, I say it that let's take 10 patients. My body weight, my prognosis, everything is the same. The 10 of us. Shape, prognosis, medication, everything. 10. 3 might die immediately. Why? Not because of cancer, but because of the fear of cancer. The hawa. Oh my God, I've got cancer. So nothing, cancer hasn't killed them. It's the fear. And what does fear stand for? False emotions appearing real. So when you think that, oh my God, big C, I've got it. So those 10 women will have different ways and means of going, even though their prognosis is same, the body weight is same, the medication is same, everything is. But the fact of the matter is that, and I tell this to everyone and to the caregivers, making them understand that let's say I'm here, I have a table, I will stretch my hand to the left corner of the table and I will say, this is when I'm born. I will stretch my hand to the right side and I will say, this is when I die. Now, in the middle, all these things have happened to me. And let's say not me, any patient or any person, not even someone with cancer or any
Any
disease,
disease.
any disease. Ups and downs, ups and downs. Now, I have a choice. Oh my God, I went through this. Why me? Meena Kumari style. What did I do to deserve it? I haven't even killed a fly. And all this is happening to me. Bitterness, sadness, tragedy, trauma. Or you say, okay, God's grace, ये हो गया है. Let's see what comes next. Now, there was a time, Geetha, when I used to say, nothing can be worse than this. And then God said, अच्छा बच्चू, अब तो देख.
Mhm.
ये हुआ है, वो हुआ है. Cancer once, cancer twice, septicemia once, twice, thrice, 210 injections from the jugular because your veins in the feet have, collapsed and given up. Your arms can't be used, breast cancer twice. I stopped saying it. I said, forgive me, God. I'm never going to say nothing worse can happen. Acha bachchu dekh tu. So now it is open. Whatever has to happen. Why? Because tomorrow, wherever I am, I can walk out on the road and a lorry will come and hit. And I don't even know I'm dead. So why should I worry about what's going to happen when I die? Let me live each moment to the fullest. And that is what a caregiver needs to understand. आप जियो और जो आपका पेशेंट है उनको भी जीने दो. You live. You take care of yourself first. The caregiver needs to be fully in the know of the caregiver's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual state. Those are the good qualities that they pump into to make them resilient, to make them courageous for the patient. And only with self love, self care, self knowledge can you realize and be aware of what the other is going through. So
Coming
that is what one needs
coming
to
to
do.
that, I read somewhere, Neerja, there was a saying by someone who said, there is nothing you should accept, or no, there's nothing you have to accept, you have to die. Everything in between, from birth till you have to die, is a
Uh,
choice.
is
And
a
every is a choice. And
choice.
you need to make it. It's a choice whether you want to say yes or no. It's a choice you want to live or not live. It's a choice you want to fight or you want to face it. So it's absolutely a choice. Saying that,
Hmm.
when I'll tell you my instance,
Hmm. Hmm.
when we came to know about my mother's situation, we didn't have much time in hand. We just had 20 days between the knowledge of what she is having and before she left. We just had 20 days in between. So we had decided to give her the peaceful journey that she deserved. We absolutely gave away any question of surgery or anything. There were multiple questions within family and outside whether we should have gone for it, we should have done it, we should have admitted her to the hospital or anything. But my mother wanted to be in the home. She wanted to be between us. She wanted to go from there. And we respected it so much that we took her home. We cared for her at home, and she took the journey peacefully from home. So that choice we had, and we took that choice where multiple questions were asked to us on our choices, but I still believe we did the best, and that was what she wanted, and we stood by it. But there are cases, Neerja, when people are not that supportive. People want to them to be taken to the ICU, inserted with all those tubes, kept there for numerous number of days, probably months, and the agony that they go through. Do you recommend anybody doing that?
You have touched my heart because, so I did tell you how my father passed on very peacefully. I was there, feeling his breath leave gently. And I, I did, my duty used to be from 2:30 in the morning. My mother would be with him, and my sister would also be there. So three of us had divided time. And I would be with him from 2:30 a.m. till about morning when everyone woke up. And I remember that his back was three-quarter towards me. I could hear his breathing. Then I realized that I couldn't hear his breathing because the fan was louder than the breathing. So I propped up myself so that I could see the movement. And then I realized that, I said all the mantras 108 times, 1,000 and God knows how many times. But the last mantra I said was my job. And we end the job by saying that, I have done my job to the best of my ability. But when time comes for me to break free from my mortal coil, you tell your guru, please hold my hand and take me to your heavenly abode. Now, the strange thing is, I said my mantra and then I said, I have said my mantra to the best of my ability. But when time comes for Papa to leave his mortal coil, please come and hold his hand and take him to your heavenly abode. And that was the time when I heard a sigh. I jumped and went, and I could feel. So I woke up Mom. I said, Mom, come and hold Papa's hand. Ki hoya gaya? I said, don't worry. Just sit by him and hold his hand.
So, Neerja, I wanted to ask you that you said that you have changed your mindset from instead of fighting to facing. So, as we close this episode in our podcast, what is your best advice that you can give to a listener who is listening to this podcast, ready to embrace their own life today?
Well, I would love to tell you that each of us has strength, deep strength within us. And it has been placed there within our soul, our body, mind, for just one thing, to be able to lead a purposeful and perfect life as is possible. So I feel that when one is embarking on any journey, the main thing is to gather all our forces, whether it is body, mind, soul, and nurture everything and put it together and have faith in the one above, God, have faith in the Guru, have faith in our family and our doctors, our community, and last but not the least, have faith in ourselves.
Yes.
And when we have put all this package together, imagine the force with which we are going to enter our treatment, enter the end of the treatment, enter getting rehabilitated back into life and making the most of it.
That was a wonderful ending that you said. And Neerja, आपकी जिंदा दिली का तो जवाब ही नहीं है. The kind of life you live, I am really inspired, and I wish any listener who is listening here, please follow Neerja Malik and see the life, how you should live your life. You will learn lessons from her. For further details about her, please check in the description box. And if you follow us and if you want podcast that resonates with you, connect with me and tell me who you want to be your next guest. So thank you. Thank you, Neerja, for connecting. Thank you for coming and making this as a wonderful
Thank you.
podcast. Let this inspire
Thank you.
many more. Thank you.
God is great. Thank you.